Thanks everyone for joining us. I'm very pleased to introduce a couple of people from the newly formed Waiuku Softball Club. I've got Rebecca Vandijken, who is the President, Jodie Lamb, Secretary and Treasurer. Thanks ladies for your time and congratulations on getting this started. We'll start with you, Bex. Do you want to just sort of give us a bit of an explanation of how the idea of a Waiuku Softball Club came about and what have you sort of done to get to the point you're at now?
Cool. Hi, Dale. Thank you. So I played for Pukekohe Softball Club for a couple of years, as did my husband and our kids. At the point where Johnny held a meeting and said that they were looking to break away, I suppose, from the county's Manukau Association and look to eventually establish a Franklin Softball Association. The competition was going to be a bit smaller, so it would be a domestic competition for the divvies. And I thought, well, I know a lot of people at the gym out here in Waiuku at RX Fitness 235. And so I put a post out to a bunch of friends. I said, hey, who's keen on putting in a softball team into the divvies? These athletes have been easy to train because, of course, they're CrossFitters. They go to the gym, so they were kind of naturally talented anyway. Jodie, I worked with Jodie, and Jodie's got a big, strong softball background, so I leaned very heavily on her expertise, asked her for all the help. We need sort of gear, we need coaches, all that sort of thing. From that one team that we put into the divvies, a lot of their partners and husbands said, hey, we want to play. So we ended up putting two. We put a men's and a women's in. It sort of grew a life of its own from there, and as to why we formed the club, it just seemed to have made sense. Otherwise we were going to be taking in 4 teams into the Pukekohe competition this year, so we thought, well, maybe we'll just start a club. I tend to jump into these things without thinking too much about how they're going to work. I'm a yes person. I go, yeah, it should be great. And to be fair, I don't even know, like Jodie said, we probably know the most about softball. I don't. To be honest, I know a lot of people and I've got a lot of enthusiasm, but really the brains, I think, would be Jodie. She's the one who says, yes, we can do that, and no, we shouldn't do that, and have you thought about this? And I go, nah, don't worry, we'll be fine. So that's kind of how we're going at the moment.
Jodie, obviously you and your family, extensive background in softball, very heavily involved in the Ramblers Club, iconic Ramblers Club in Auckland. Just again, from your sort of standpoint, you know, the thinking behind a Waiuku Softball Club and what you've managed to achieve since you pressed go on it. So I think, if I'm right, you've got over 100 members already, which is just phenomenal.
Yeah, we have. So as Bex said, it was just a call out, like starting last year, to a group of people, and it's really grown. So we just, again, this year, we just pulled on those members from last year and said, okay, guys, we want to join our own club. And our very first meeting was obviously to sign the papers to become incorporated. And we only needed, how many? 16 signatures, I think. And there was about 30 at that meeting straight away. So bang, and everyone was just like, go for it. We'll leave it to you guys. And yeah, so we've jumped, yeah. And it's been really good. So yeah, we've had fantastic support. We put it out there to, again, the members initially for sponsorship, because of course we've got no funds. So start from a club from scratch with no funds, no gear, no uniforms, nothing. We relied on our members and said, okay guys, you keen to sponsor us? And so that's where it's all started, really. So we've had, I think we've got about 11 sponsors who have come forward. You know, that's financially, we've had people providing money for gear bags, a set of uniforms. So yeah, that's where we're at. It's just, I guess, hard, like we're in lockdown. So it's been hard trying to get our bank account set up, an IRD number, and yeah, the logistical things like that. So that's where, you know, I've sort of been saying to Bex, okay, we've just got to slow down slightly because we need, you know, we need all those stuff in place so we can, yeah, go full steam ahead.
I'll stick with you, Jodie, because your background is heavily involved with, you've been heavily involved with the Ramblers Club, your family well known in Auckland softball circles. The sport overall probably not growing like many sports, not seeing huge growth, but down here in the Franklin region, we've seen phenomenal growth. What Pukekohe have been able to do in a really short space of time, what you guys have been able to do in a crazy short space of time must be incredibly encouraging. Are you getting a lot of help from Softball New Zealand, given the interest in this part of the country?
I haven't heard too much from Softball New Zealand, but definitely Auckland Softball. So they've really stepped up and they're helping us, and they want us to succeed, and so they're the ones who have sort of pushed that Franklin Association. Again, we're getting heaps of support from Johnny Hewitt from Puke. So this is an association that is going to jump ahead. Awesome. We've got Tuako, we've got Pocono, we've got Rama. We've got a group of little villages, little communities that will eventually form softball clubs and will grow that Franklin Association as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, you think of the population growth in those areas you mentioned too. It sort of ties itself to automatic growth, let alone growth of the sport, which we're seeing here.
Yeah.
Bex, what do you sort of expect when you look at your numbers at the moment? Where do you sort of expect to enter teams? What grades are you likely to have as we head into the new season?
So at this stage, we've got 3 women's teams. We've got 2 men's teams, 2 juniors and the rookies, which is under 12s, and we've got a boys and a girls, and then we've got an under 8 T-ball team. Wow. So we are ready to split 2 of those teams into more as well. Originally, we'd expected that we'd probably get 2 women's, 1 men's, and maybe 1 or 2 juniors. So it certainly exceeded our expectations. We had to close off registrations publicly early in order to make sure that we had the right amount of coaches and experience. We didn't want to sort of open the doors up and then not be able to service the community properly. And of course, as Jodie said, we've got no gear. And so we needed to make sure that we could accommodate everybody who we were taking on. Now that we are starting to really gain momentum, we've had a lot of old softballers reach out to us in the area, and they've said, look, we can help. We can coach, we can manage, where do you want us? And so now we can actually start to go, we can really take on some more kids, especially. And that's, I think, where we want to see the most growth. But to have 3 women's teams is just phenomenal. Like, it's traditionally not so strong for women's, in New Zealand as much as it's a men's sport. So to have that many going in is fantastic.
Certainly is. Do you know what grades that those your senior sort of men's and women's teams will be in?
Yeah, all just divvies at the moment. So for the first season coming into it, it is, it's just a divvies comp, essentially, that they're running down in Pukekohe. I think what we'll probably see next year is a split off into reserves and prems. They'll start to get more competition, more teams, more talent coming through, and you can start to split off them. But for now, big pool of divvies, very social, so much fun.
Awesome. And do you guys know roughly at this stage, COVID obviously permitting, assuming we start to trend out, come into level 3 sometime next week, and then hopefully level 2 not far beyond that, do you know when we're likely to see your first team play a competitive game?
Yeah, I think hopefully indications have been around the 30th of October. From what I've seen, I'm not sure that it's been officially sort of announced, but I think that's what we're aiming for. We're hoping to be level 2 or level 1 by then.
Awesome. Well, look, ladies, congratulations on what you've done so far. There's obviously a lot of work gone into it and a lot more to go into it, make it successful, but you've made a phenomenal start and you look forward to seeing your progress. Well done.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Dale.